Good day everyone, Trix here, and today we're going to look at the Corpse Grinder Cult from the Book of Ruin. This of course is a sort of Khorne type led gang, so it's basically a chaos cult that it has infected the Corpse Guild menial workers, the Corpse Grinders. They are a rather vicious close combat gang that started off basically as a resistance to the rather uncaring leadership of the Corpse Guild. The revolt was so bloody and so vicious that it took down an entire hive, apparently. This was, of course, then influenced by Khorne, a dark god of chaos. Now, when the cults start, it's always about overcoming adversity and always trying to get one up on your masters, but as time goes on, it becomes a ritual of blood and death and murder, and it can only go one way forward by sacrificing the entire hive in a gore fest of chain and cleaver. Now, there is a sort of cannibal madness to the Corpse Grinder cult. They believe that they must eat their hearts of their enemies, and doing so, it sort of reinvigorates them. This is, of course, different from corpse starch, which is purified and gone through various layers of processing. The Corpse Grinder cult must be led by a butcher, of course, and the total number of initiates must be always equal to the number of other skinners in the gang. It can include 0 to 3 champions or cutters. A fighter can only be equipped with a maximum of 3 weapons. Ones with asterisks take the place of 2 weapons. They can take any other war gear. The Corpse Grinder cult works a little differently to other gangs, and this is where it's both its strength and its biggest weakness. The butchers have a weapon skill of 2+ and a movement of 5. They start with a butcher's mask, which basically means the masks that Corpse Grinder cult wear force your opposing opponents, so the people you're playing against, if you're playing with them, or if you're playing against them, you've got to take tests to shoot at them, because they're that scary. The masks are horrific visions, often incorporating bone and flesh and other parts of trophies. The butchers have the first into the fray rule, which basically a charge double action may add D3 instead of D3, can add D6 to the distance. So with a 5, if you get a 6, that's an 11. So I think charge is, so it would be 11 up to 11 inches, which is pretty decent. You can, in some boards you'll be able to clear at least half the board. The cutter, it has a weapon skill of 3+. I want to note that the butcher, the cutters, and the skinners, which are all the gangers, the champions and the leaders respectively, must not take any ranged weapons. It's always close combat with these 3 fighters: your butcher, leader, your cutter, champion, and your skinner, ganger. Your cutter starts with dervish, so basically when they're making a basic fight action, their vision arc is 360 degrees, so they can see all around them basically, so they spin around and chop people up. The Corpse Grinder cult unfortunately suffers from being rather costly. Weapons are expensive. The leader is 130 points, the champion is 90 points, the skinners are 40 points, and the initiates, or dupes, are 25 credits. However, when you're looking at 135 credits for a heavy rock cutter, or your chain cleavers being 130 credits for 2, your flensing saw being 55 credits, two-handed axe 25 credits, and then you're going to want to probably have an armor. Take an icon. An icon is always great. They don't have their own. Oh no, they do. They have Savagery. My bad. Yes, I missed that. So they do have their own specific skill. Savagery. Saying that, the Corpse Grinder Cult does have some interesting playstyles. They have access to heavy weapons such as a harpoon launcher or a heavy flamer on their initiates. So when you're creating your gang, my advice would be to take a harpoon launcher on one of your initiates. Take auto pistols or hand flamers and stub guns. Take as many initiates as you can, because they're going to be your only ranged defense. Saying that, people will have a hard time shooting against you, but people can overcome this if they pass certain tests. I would also say take grenades, because grenades are, when you can, I believe that you can take grenades on your leaders and your champions, but it doesn't say that you can't, but it doesn't say you can. But it wasn't say you can't. I would say yeah, you can take them. Remember, grenades do use your strength, so you are going to have an 8-inch range with your leader and champions, and a 6-inch range with your gangers. But saying this, they are a very expensive gang. Now, I want to also do the Eightfold Harvest Lord. The Eightfold Harvest Lord is a dramatis personae for the Corpse Grinder Cult. He is a symbol of the devastation and probably the person who initiated the takedown of Hive Arcos. He spread terror, he takes skins of his victims. He is a vicious, terrible, violent individual that is great character to take in your Corpse Grinder Cults. While I would say don't normally take Dramatis Personae, the Eightfold Harvest Lord is a little bit different, simply because of the skills and the gear and how much savageness he can bring to the table. He has paired heavy chain cleavers, melee paired sever, he has a fighting knife with backstab, he has Avatar of Blood, Killing Blow and Slaughterborn, Butcher's Mask, Plate Mail, Corpse Grinder Cult icon. He can only be hired by Chaos Cults, Corrupted Chaos Gangs, or Corpse Grinder Cult Gangs. So you've got him for 3 available types of gangs there. He is a bounty hunter, so he's subject to the Dead Not Alive claiming bounties rule and will get our built rules from page 63 in Necromunda rulebook, Gangs of the Underhive. Now, when he turns up, the Eightfold Harvest Lord, it said that he brings madness and cannibalism. During the fall of Hive Arcos, he was the first amongst the uprising, apparently. Now, whether he is the individual who started the uprising, or he is simply a persona that someone takes on, is unknown. But it would be interesting to see something from his person, or his point of view. There is one other that I want to talk about. That is Queen Osha. She is a cannibal, basically. She was a pale consort of the Mercator Palace, but her family was struck down, and now she is semi-living, semi-dead. She has bloodlust, episode, and disturbing aura, which counts as a mask. She's okay. She's only 100 credits to hire, so she's pretty okay for that amount. I mean, she's much cheaper than your champions are going to be for your Corpse Grinder Cult, to be honest. Because if you take a champion, 90 credits, you take your Flensing Saw, Rotary Flensing Saw, that's 155 credits. So that's 145 credits just for a champion. Hire her, you basically get a pretty decent hired gun. There we go. So let's look at some of the skills that they can have. Let's look first at the Corpse Grinder masks. The Initiate has +1 to save rolls, so basically that gives him a 6+ save if he has nothing. A head injury or an eye injury on a roll of 6, the fighter doesn't suffer from it. So that's pretty okay. So it basically gives you a bit of armor. The Skinner's Mask adds 1 to any save, again the head injury or eye injury, and you get fearsome skill for free. So basically, enemy wishes to make a charge that results in making one or more close combat attacks against the fighter. You must take a willpower test. This is where I'm saying the masks are pretty overpowered. Cutter mask is more ornate and complex than the Skinner. A cutter's mask is hooded and sinister. It's a clear display of authority, and it marks the mount to their subordinates and their enemies. Adds 1 to your save throws. Again, you get the head injury and eye injury on a 6 save. It makes you terrifying. So basically, if you want to make a shooting or fight action against him, you have to take a willpower check against a cutter. This is why you're having 3 of them is a good idea. Terrifying. The Butcher has terrifying as well. The Butcher's mask grants a save of 6+. It cannot be combined with any other armor, but neither can it be modified by any other weapon. Therefore, you must choose whether you use the 6+ invulnerable save basically against an attack or your other armor. You also get your eye injury save, and you have terrifying as well. That's the willpower check on a shooting or a fight. Savagery. This is the skill set that Khorne Cult get. Avatar of Blood. For every unsaved wound this fighter inflicts on an enemy with the melee trait, they immediately discard 1 flesh wound they have previously suffered. So basically regeneration. Bloodlust. After performing coup de grace on Bloodlust, you may consolidate as well, moving 2 inches in any direction. Crimson Haze. When the fighter is engaged with one or more enemy, it automatically passes any nerve test. Pretty decent. Frenzy. When the fighter makes a charge action, gain D3 attacks, however, -1 to hit. Killing Blow. Before rolling to hit, they can choose to make a killing blow instead. This attack cannot be made with a weapon with sidearm. If the attack hits, the attack strength and damage are doubled, and no armor save can be made. The killing blow is really good if you can get it off. Slaughterborn. For every unsaved wound this fighter inflicts on an enemy fighter with a melee trait, increase their movement by 1 for the duration of the battle. Slaughterborn is amazing if you can get it off. You can end up, if you take out say 5 of your opponent's gang, you can end up with a 10-inch movement as standard. Charging plus D6, you can end up, on your Butcher, you're going to end up taking him across the battlefield hella easy. Saying that, if you're fighting against the Corpse Grinders, and you know that your opponent has Slaughterborn somewhere, because he would really be stupid if he didn't, aim for him on that one, if you know which one it is. But that was my advice. The Corpse Grinder Cult are a pretty OP gang, in my opinion. Okay, they do suffer from their range debuff, however, they make up for it with the masks, the skills in Savagery, additional bonuses of the hired guns that they can take. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on the very friendly and nice Corpse Grinder Cult gang. One of my favourites. Do take care of yourselves, everyone, and happy gaming.